Why are you airing the high five? Allow it.
On camera too, like, don't do that to me. Yay! We did it!
Sorry.
We did it!
Oh.
Yay!
I'm not gonna stop.
No.
This is it.
This is it. I don't mind it. So we can continue.
Yeah. What was the question now?
Hi, what kind of mom do you want to be?
Yeah, I want to be a really self-aware mom. I want to be really self-aware. I think, at least for like our parents, like they did all the groundwork for us to be able to sit here and be able to self-reflect and all that stuff. And I think if she voices things to me and she's like, "Mom, I'm upset that you said this," or like, "I'm upset about this," like, I want us to be able to talk things through. I don't want to be so reactive, because I feel like the older generations were very reactive, and their first instinct was to be like, shut it down.
Yes,
and I just,
absolutely.
you know, you couldn't really voice those things. So I feel like
Absolutely.
I want her to feel like this is a safe space, and I just want to be the best mom.
That's beautiful.
I don't even know what that looks like. We're about to find out. There's never a right time, and if you do find yourself in a situation where you are now having a baby and you feel like your life's about to change drastically, it's going to change. But there's just nothing that compares to it. It realigns everything, like your mindset, your perspective, like everything changes the minute you have this kid, and your purpose grows so intensely. Like, I felt very lost before I had her, and then I had her, and I'm like, I will do anything to make sure that she's good. Like, by any means, literally by any means, I'll make sure she's good. And I think sometimes people need that drive. I feel like it will never feel right until you do it, because then everything makes sense, you know? And I think having kids and having a family, like, it's not something to be missed out on. It's unconditional. Like, this is unconditional. I can't not love that girl. Like, she keeps me up all night. I still love her. I'm like, you're so cute. With eye bags, I'm like, you're so cute. And the way she looks at me, I feel like it just makes it all worth it. Those moments make it all worth it, so.
3, 2, 1. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Jeoffrey Sarpong podcast. Let's go. Today I'm here with Nia. Nia, how are you?
I'm good. Oh, thank you. I'm so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's so good to see you today.
I know, a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long
It's
time.
been a very long time.
And it's very, very good to be here with you
I'm
today.
very grateful to be on this platform.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, do you also want to talk a little bit about your TikTok channel, what you talk about there? I did a very bad description of it.
No, you did good. I think my page, how I would summarize it, is just like real motherhood, single motherhood specifically, especially being a young mom. I just feel like it's really important to document those moments, and it's not always sunshine. It has its moments, but there are really nice and really sweet moments. I feel like I try to push out them more, because I feel like as a young mom, especially as a young single mom, you kind of get lost in it. Like you just kind of go down that hole of just being a mom 24/7. So I try to bring light and still share stories and be real, but also like put the good moments out there, because I just love it.
I think you actually do that. So I think you absolutely do that. And so like that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. But to start her off, actually, I wanted to ask you a topical question that's been going on big on the internet actually. So I don't know if you're a big music fan, but I know there's been quite a current beef between Drake and Kendrick.
Yes.
And so I'm asking you to start off. First off, who do you think won the beef? Are you a fan of either? And what do you think is going to happen next? Such a love for
literally, do you know what I think? Well, first, I haven't followed the beef intensely. I just know the song, the iconic song of Kendrick Lamar. I don't actually know too much about like why they're beefing. I mean, I've read comments, but you just never know. But that song is so good that I don't even care. I don't even care what's going on. That song is so good. Me and Aria sing it all the time. She does like the what part. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's really all I know about it.
Yeah. That's incredible. And did you see the halftime show?
I sure did.
What did you think?
I think it was iconic. I actually watched a video of like them explaining all the hidden meanings and like messages behind it, because you know Kendrick can't just do a performance, especially like what's going on in that country, like insane. I think he shed a lot of light on that. So the fact there was like a whole production and there were so many meanings, I think is so cool. Like he's a whole artist. Like he's not just a rapper. Created a whole story, you know.
Literally, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I completely agree. I think that's why I wanted to just start. I know it's like...
That's a good question.
I wanted to start and just kind of like set the tone of like what it is to just create something and have meaning. You know, I think Kendrick is doing
Yeah.
that. It's good that you don't know much about the beef because it's not much.
Is it not? They make it seem like it's a whole story.
It's just Kendrick just hates Drake.
I hear it.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Sometimes you just feel like that. To make a Grammy Award-winning song, I hear
Exactly.
it.
Sometimes you just want to just hate on the person.
Literally.
Okay, so to start off, actually, the question I actually want to ask you was to talk to me about your journey. So, discuss a little bit about how it's been for you so far. Obviously, it starts wherever you want to start it, but also just like how you feel about where you are currently right now, sitting here with me. And yeah.
So I think my journey, I mean, I've been a mum for a year and a bit. Obviously, you're pregnant for like what feels like a decade, but it's only 9 months. So I've been a mum since the minute I got pregnant. And that journey has been, it's been a roller coaster, I think is the only way to summarize it. There's moments in pregnancy alone where you're just so lost and you're just so confused with this big change. And like, I feel like as a woman, your change starts from the minute you get pregnant. You don't have 9 months to like mentally prepare. You're like thrown into it. And I was only 20 when I got pregnant, so just so young. And then I had her right before I turned 21, and I had an emergency C-section. So that whole journey in itself was something that I'd never planned for. The healing I'd never planned for, and then doing it alone and having to rely on my family and my people. Like it taught me a lot. I had to grow a lot, and the whole first year has just been wild, and I'm finally in a space where I'm like, everything's okay, like I feel good, Aria's doing great, like I'm just so proud that I'm able to give her the life that I've given her so far. And it is very surreal. So sitting here is very surreal that I'm in my own home and you're coming over, like it is insane, and I feel that's how I feel.
Talk to me a little bit more about the beginnings of that. So you talked to me about how like you become a mom when you definitely found out you're pregnant. What is that like, and like you know, like how do you, what's the process towards, you know, having the kind of, I guess, acceptance that this is happening, you know?
It's a long one. I think you're in denial for a really long time because until that baby is born, until you see them in your arms, nothing is for sure. And just being responsible for a life from the minute you get pregnant, everything you do, the environment you're in, how you feel, it all affects the baby from the minute you're pregnant. So having that responsibility so quickly it's a hard thing to adjust to, but I think once you accept that like this is really happening and like this is going to be your life now, I think you find peace with that. Obviously you have ups and downs, but you find peace with it to an extent. You're like, okay, this is really happening, this baby's coming. Once you see the crib in the house and you see the buggy and you're like, okay, like, can I swear? Shit's getting real. Shit's getting real. That's honestly how I would describe that whole process for the first, before you even have the baby. Like, yeah.
That's amazing. And then when you obviously like get to a point where the baby's now close and it's like, are you thinking of like, what are some of the thoughts you're having about you? Like, you know, like obviously, like you said, you want to prepare the baby for the best environment. So you're thinking about, okay, how do I become the best mother for this baby and bring into the world and stuff like that? What's that like?
Definitely a question I still ask myself. Like, how can I be a better mom? I don't think you ever find, there's no answer. You just have to keep being there. But I think towards the end of the pregnancy, at least for me, like my pregnancy was really rocky, so I was really sick. I had hyperemesis, which meant like I was sick 24/7, like non-stop, and obviously everything with my work and stuff like was just all over the place. So I think I had I think I had a really hard time towards the end of my pregnancy, and I was having a really hard time accepting like I had just changed the course of my life like forever just by making this one decision. That was a really tough pill to swallow. But then I saw her face, and then I was like, okay, well, you know, like, doesn't really matter, does it? Like, but it was tough. It was tough being pregnant.
Talk to me about that. How did it feel in that moment when you saw her face?
When I saw her face.
What's that? Do you remember? Like,
I remember that because I had an emergency C-section, so I was in labour for like 30 hours. So by that point, I'm like, get her out, like, take her out immediately. Like, I can't do this anymore. So when they took me into the surgery room, they were like, you know, like they're laughing and they're making jokes, you know, they're like, haha, like, you know, see you next year. I'm like, lost your mind there. But like, I was just so out of it because I just didn't, this wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want a C-section, and I was really upset about that, which I vocalized quite a lot. And then they took her out and they held her up and they pulled down the sheet. I was like, initially I was like, ew, like that was in me. I was so gross. I was like, gross. That was so crazy. Like you're just seeing them, because I didn't push her out, I didn't feel it. So I'm just like, you just yanked that out of me, like it's crazy. But when they brought up to my face, I was like, that's insane, but I don't feel like that was the moment. I think the moment was when I got wheeled out after being stitched up, and I got to hold her for the first time, because I wasn't the first person to hold her, nor was I like the fifth person either. Like a lot of people held her before me, and then when I was in the room and they put her on my chest, like, there's no words to really describe that feeling, because you have to feel it to understand what that feels like. But
can you describe not the feeling then, but the like? I guess I'm going to say feeling again, but I was just going to say like just how the room was, or how you were, like how
everything.
You were thinking.
It all felt very silent. Like it was just me and her. Like that's literally how it felt. And there was a ton of people around, but
you just like zoned in.
Yeah, I was so clocked into it, and she looked at me, and I was like, oh, like I would do anything for you. Like in that moment, I felt so much peace. And I was so worried that we wouldn't be able to have that bond because of the way I birthed her and because of the pregnancy and everything that I felt like I had lost during that pregnancy. But the minute she was on my chest, I kid you not, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. Like, I made the right choice. Like, you know.
That's amazing. Yeah. So would you say in that moment then you were kind of forever changed?
Yeah, 100%. Because I knew what my role was. I knew what I needed to do. And I knew that it wasn't about me. It wasn't about how I felt. It was literally like, what can I do to make sure that she is good regardless, you know? Like, your mind shifts. Because real now, like they're looking at you, so you're like, you gotta get serious. Like, I'm quite an unserious person, Jeff. Like, I had to get serious, literally.
Okay, then talk to me a little bit more about that then. What's that shift been like, going from semi-unserious? No,
I was serious, but I wasn't.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then to becoming the person that you knew you had to be for this baby.
I think, you have to like reflect on yourself and like the things that you're doing, and like, I've never been silly in life. I've always been like, always had a path. I've always been very work focused and everything. And I always thought that I'd be like the top of my field at such a young age. Like I always wanted to be the young to do it. Young to do it? Youngest to do it. Yeah. Correct English. I always wanted to be the youngest to do it. And then as soon as I had her, I was like, I actually don't care about anything else. Like keeping her alive, making sure she's good and happy. Like, you just change everything. I can't even explain that change because it happens so naturally, because your body, your motherly instincts kick in. Like you're completely in tune with them and nothing else. So it just is all biological, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe
that instinct you're talking about, that like motherly instinct. What's that like when it develops? Like probably when you first see her, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what does that even feel like? Because I know my mom has it for me.
She does. Your mom definitely.
And I'm like, I don't understand it.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe because we're all like animals in some sense, right? And like animals don't have like technology and baby rockers and all these things. They just have their instincts to like protect their kids. Yeah. And I think the minute I met Aria, I was like, your brain, like it changes. Like biologically, it actually changes. So you're in tune with like their sounds and the noises and this light shift in something in them. Even if you can't see it on them, like you can tell something's wrong or something's not right. And obviously when you get to know them more, you see their routine, you get used to their habits and their sounds and stuff. You kind of just, it develops with time. But I always say to my friends, even now, like she's 1 and she sleeps in her own room, so I will wake up 5 minutes before she wakes up every single time. No idea how. I have no alarm. No idea when she's gonna wake up. Like, your body's just in. Oh, sorry. Your body's just in tune with everything she does. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, you just have this urge. Like, whenever we go outside, you're hyper aware. Like, I can tell if someone's gonna walk behind me in the next 5 seconds. Like, I can tell if someone's like close by. I'm constantly aware of everything. And even sitting here, I'm like, okay, like,
you know exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly what she's doing, and I don't even have to see her to know that. Like, just that kind of thing.
That's so beautiful. Talk to me. Oh, by the way, you can
yeah, I'm gonna have to go in a minute.
Whenever. What is some of the, like, obviously you talked about some of the moments beginning when you first, I guess bring her home, when you start like setting up the home, when you start building that relationship. What's some of the best moments and hardest moments that you noticed early on about being a mother?
Do you know what it is? I think my experience was so chaotic that I truly don't remember everything, because I had such bad postpartum depression, so I don't remember everything. It's kind of like a blur.
It's kind of this experience you're talking about is such a blur, but there must be moments where you kind of like, you looking back now, stick out at you. Not even just the hard moments, but some of the good moments too, because it's like, you must have like, obviously that moment when you first meet her, like maybe a month afterwards, she's doing something, you're like, oh my god, that's a crazy thing.
Like all the little milestones, like the first time she lifted up her head, the first time she looked at me, like could actually see me, because they're like blind for a while. So the first time she actually saw me, or like the first time she smiled, or the first time she laughed in her sleep, like all her little first moments, like those are so surreal. Like she
Talk
just.
to one of your favorite ones. Like,
Oh, my favorite one. The first time she laughed was she would like genuinely laugh, like not just like a reaction laugh. She just laughed so hard, and I literally cried. I sat there and cried. I was like, oh my god, she can laugh. She's a human. I think that was one of the big ones, and I think obviously like the movement ones when they start crawling. Her first word was Coco, which is our dog at my mum's house. I do not like that dog. Okay, so it was like a running joke that everyone's like, oh, her first word's gonna be Coco. It's gonna be Coco. And then when she said it, I think she was like 7 months old. She said Coco. I was like, all right, I guess that was your first word. Then like the girl wouldn't say mama for ages. But yeah, I feel like those little moments, I don't know, they remind you, like, you know. And I think because I was breastfeeding as well for the first like 5-6 months, all of those little moments, like in the middle of the night when you're exhausted, you haven't slept, like all of that, and then I'd feed her, and she would look at me, and like I'd be like, that's okay. I haven't slept in like 3 days, so it's actually okay. It's like you look so happy, like as long as you're happy, like
just literally at peace.
Yeah, honestly.
That's amazing. Welcome back. We've got our guest.
Short pause.
Yes, short pause. We've got the
guest star.
Celebrity guest with us today. You want to say hi?
Yeah.
I guess. That's
that was all she could give.
Yeah. No, you before we were just talking about. First of all, thank you so much. This was like I said just now, it was amazing. You were so clear, talking about your journey so far has been incredible, and I'm guessing really inspiring for some people. But I want to also talk about what it is like for you, how life is now. You know, coming to where we are. We're sitting right now watching Mrs. Rachel.
Yeah. You would have thought.
Actually, on that point, I was going to ask, so what's some of the shows you were just talking about before?
Yeah.
What's it like experiencing life with your baby? Like, what's it like watching shows? So, like you were saying, watching shows again and then having different level of meanings and stuff like that. What's that been like?
I think I've always been the same person that like watches the same shows again and again and again. I don't like to change my shows, but I think trying to learn more about motherhood and like the highs and lows of it all. I think watching things like Ginny and Georgia or Gilmore Girls, like these are single mums that are raising their kids. They're just trying to do what they're trying to do. They're trying to get their kids the best life that they can get. And I feel like when you rewatch things that you watched before and you watch them now, it's just, they have a different meaning. It hits deeper. Like there'll be sometimes I have to rewind and like rewatch it again because I'm like, it's so real. Yeah.
What's some of her favorite shows?
Miss Rachel. She's more of a movie person. She likes like Encanto, Moana, Princess and the Frog.
That's
Trolls.
Amazing.
Trolls has been on repeat in this household for about 4 weeks now.
Do you find yourself enjoying these shows now?
Yeah, because I've purposely picked films that like I like, and then she's going to like them. Are you finished? I'm not sure. But yeah, she's like, she'll rewatch the same films. Like she just wants to rewatch the same things again. She likes music, like any film with music in it. She's a very melodic kid. She likes melody. She likes lullabies. She's the first kid I know that like actually falls asleep to a lullaby. Insane. I didn't even know that was like a real thing. But I was in movies, like thought they were trying to sell us something. Literally, but she's any film with a song in it. She's like obsessed with.
That's amazing.
It's really cool.
That's like honestly, I think it's so cool to see like a human being develop. I can
her
imagine
own traits. It's insane.
I can imagine what's that been like for you, just seeing your human being, if anything, develop into her own interest, and up she goes. How would that for you?
Oh, she's still here. Thank you.
How would that for you? But no, I think it's just fascinating to just see that development. I think, like for example, for me, just talk a little bit about my experience with kids, right? When I was really young, I was always the person that looked after all my siblings. I used to live with my auntie just so I could look after her kid. My cousin. And like I was like 11 or 12, but I was the person looking after someone younger than me. So it's like from then on, I kind of grew up I understood how to like be around kids and how to look after them, change diapers and like food and give them love and just like sit there watching shows with them and just being around them. And so like I think from early on I developed that love and fascination for just wanting to be in that position myself, But I think that obviously as I get older and older, it become more and more real for me. You know, I think that's also interesting too, to just to see the difference between having to do it as a kid and also having to do it as an adult.
Yeah, with your own.
With your own. Talk to me a bit about that thing.
Yeah, so I was like you. I was the same age. I was 11 when my niece was born, and they all lived together in the same house. So it really was like a village type of environment, and I was heavily involved with that. And then my sister had her son at when I was 16. So once again, I was heavily involved in that, and she had a stroke. So I became one of the main carers for him, which I loved. Like our bond was so strong. But you think that is like enough to like mentally prepare you for a kid, because you're like, I've done sleepless nights, I've done the nappy change, the crying and feedings, but it's so different when it's like your own kid, when it's your own kid, and you're healing mentally, and everything's just so different, because when it's not your kid, you're not healing from anything. Like your body's the same, your mind is the same. When it's yours, everything changes, like who you are and how you feel. Like there's just so many other factors when it comes to having your own. So it's nothing like it.
I can imagine. Also, thank you for doing this. This is amazing. I know that your mind is in two places at once right now. So thank you so much for continuing. This is incredible. She would definitely just be whatever. You want to speak? It's like, I'm going to take the camera, the mic off you and just continue this myself. But actually, speaking of which, you both been in the spotlight. I know one thing that you've been doing recently, and I've also seen it, is modeling. More for yourself, but also for you and your daughter. Talk to me about how did you get involved in that? What's that been like? What's some of the your favorite moments about modeling?
So modeling, how we started was I was on maternity leave, and I was like, I don't leave my house. Like I literally have no reason to leave my house at the moment. I wasn't doing anything, and it just felt like very stale. And Aria, obviously, Aria, no.
She's alright. Don't worry about it. Honestly, don't worry about it. She's alright.
But yeah, so when she was little, I think she was like 3 or 4 months old, and I was like, I want to get out of the house. Like, I want to do something, and I want her to be able to have money in her name when she's older. Like, I want to invest it for her, and obviously I put money aside for her, but I wanted it to be like, you know, still coming in and all that stuff like for her. So I signed her up, and obviously to me she's like the cutest thing in the world. I'm like, she's gonna get booked to Disney, mate. She's so cute. Like, what do you mean? And then we started the process, and she got a lot of offers from agencies and stuff, and like navigating that whole process like took a lot of learning, and she was just really good at it. Like, she just liked being in front of the camera. As you can see, she loves being
comfortable.
She's very confident as a baby, so it just made sense. And then through learning how to do it for her and the shoots that we went on and stuff, it made me want to do it. I was just like, why not? Because they kept asking me to be in them with her, because they want mum and babies. Like, that's just always a thing. So I was like, let me just take a shot.
What was it like for you? Yeah, what was it like for you to be
in
front of the camera?
I'm still learning, because I'm not an overly confident person. I feel like you know this about me. Like, I'm not the most confident person. I'm very shy, and I didn't realize how much my confidence had been knocked after having her and everything I'd been through last year. So I think it definitely helped me like learn how to be more confident. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot, and it definitely helped me be more confident. Yeah,
that's amazing. And so, like, I think like the experience of it being both a mother and a model, so like that's kind of like you're learning two things at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, like, I can imagine for you, it's like obviously I want to do this thing, but also I want to also just, you know, stretch myself and try new fields and try new experiences. So I think it's really impressive. It's really cool you're doing it, and also you get to do it with her.
No, definitely. I feel like when I had her, it was kind of like, why not? Like, I had the time off, and I'm like, I wanna, like, these are dreams that I feel like I've always had from when I was younger. Like, there's so many things going on behind the scenes that I'm like, I've always dreamed of doing these things, and if I can like put myself out there and just, like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I don't make it. Okay, it's not what I was doing it for. Do you know what I mean? Like, Aria.
She's definitely like, she's got eyes on the camera.
She's gonna rip that thing down. I go like a couple more seconds. Actually, she found your bag. She's distracted now. Yeah, literally. But yeah, I was just like, why not? Like, I want her to know that I chased my dreams even after I had her, because there's this stigma around, like, when you have a kid, like, your life stops. Especially being a young mum, like, I genuinely felt like my life was about to stop. Like, I wouldn't be able to do the things people my age are doing. Like, I wouldn't be able to go out when I wanted to go out. Not that I haven't now anyway, but you just start thinking that,
exactly, you know? Right.
Again, just getting a taste of motherhood.
As many times as you need, honestly. So you mentioned about obviously chasing your goals and chasing your dreams.
Yeah.
One of the ways you did that, as we talked about at the beginning, was the TikTok that you've opened. What has that been like? What's it been like embracing the social media field and, you know, putting yourself out there?
It's crazy. Like I said, I'm not an overly confident person. So when I first posted, because it started with like me posting a TikTok that was like a trend, and it wasn't me talking or anything. It was just a bunch of pictures of like me and Aria, and it got a lot of views. And I was like, do you know, like, this might be fun. Like, I might be able to reach moms and people, because I felt so alone for the first year. And I feel like there's so many moms, and like just doing that deep dive and then your For You page, picking up that algorithm of like being a mom and all that stuff, and reaching so many people. I've connected with so many people since then. And that's just kind of what I wanted my platform to be like. Just because you're a young mom, just because you're a young single mom, which is like a double whammy, just because you're all those things doesn't mean like life stops and that you have to be like stuck in it. And if I had someone like that was saying the things that I was saying to me during postpartum, I feel like I would have had more hope, because I didn't have it. So I'm like, let me just be that little bit of hope. Exactly.
Yeah. We're talking about just go deep on that experience too, of like kind of like posting and kind of reaching out and preparing that community.
Yeah.
What has that been like for you to see people just be inspired by the stuff that you're saying after everything you've been through, and just seeing you come out the other side of that and be like, wow, this actually helps people, you know?
It's very surreal. Like, obviously I'm not famous or anything, like I ain't got that many followers, but it seems to have reached the right people that needed it, and I think that's all I can really ask for. Like, there was a mum that texted me after one of the videos, and she was like, I'm in the postpartum trenches, which if anyone has gone through the postpartum trenches, you know what the postpartum trenches are. And she was like, I just needed to hear this, like I needed to feel this, because so many mums are becoming single mums or in relationships, still being a single mum, and it's just nice to see a little bit of hope sometimes, and nice to see someone that's gone through exactly what you've gone through, like come out the other end.
100%.
Because there was times I didn't think I was going to, like, honestly, like it's very real. And I just love when people like feel something when I post something, because I don't want it to be superficial, I don't want it to be shallow, or like this is me being a perfect mom, because I'm not a perfect mom. Like, I'm still a human being, you know. But
is that what you want people to take from your
100%. Like, I have an aesthetic, don't get me wrong. I love a good aesthetic, but that's real. Like, that is who I am. Like, I just love a good, clean aesthetic look, you know. But it's not always perfect. Like, Aria has her moments for sure. She's a good kid. I really can't complain about her at all. But it's still hard, and I'm still doing it by myself. Even with the people around me, I'm still doing it by myself at the end of the day. So, yeah, I hope people take what they take from it, and they feel good after they come off my page. I don't want it to be all struggle, you know.
I can attest that they do definitely feel good, because I felt when I was
I'm glad.
So speaking a little bit, we spoke about the people you have around you. We've also talked about the village that it takes to raise a beautiful person like that. What has that been like, having that support system and kind of growing as a mother yourself, but also kind of growing with that village around you, your friends, talking about some of the people that have kind of stepped up during this process for you?
Honestly, if I was to sit here and list everyone we've been here for a long time, I'm so grateful. I think you never know until you're going through it, like, who's really like there for you. And I think it was a big shock to my system, because I didn't plan for any of this. Like, I couldn't say that during my pregnancy that I was going to end up doing this alone. Like, you can't really predict that. Okay, I hear it. Okay.
She's like, who is this?
She's like, it's my time. But yeah, I didn't plan it. I didn't see it coming. And I was raised by a single mom, so I knew always in the back of my mind, like, if I needed to, I would. And if I needed to, I could. Like, I know I could do it. But there's nothing like it really, really happening, and you're like, okay, well, now I need to like lean on my people. And for the first 6 months, I was so like stuck on trying to look like I had it all together, like I had it figured out, like I didn't need anyone's help, like, because it felt like I was giving satisfaction to the people that wanted me to struggle, and I didn't want to admit that I was struggling, because I'm like, no, like, I chose to have this baby, I stepped up, I'm doing what I need to do, you know, like, and I just think as a mum, in this society, you don't want to look like you're not doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You don't want to look like you're failing or you're struggling. Like, it's just always, there's all these standards, you know, it's like impossible. You can't always do it right. But I had to lean on my people, and I think it got to a point, the first time I remember vividly leaning on them was when Aria was like 4 months old, and that's when the postpartum depression had really, like, it was getting really bad. And I just didn't feel like I could do it anymore. Like, I had no sleep. I was running on empty, and I was giving her everything I had, and I was still breastfeeding, which is a really important part, because it means emotionally you're giving her everything, physically you're giving her everything, and then I had all the other stuff going on around outside factors that I couldn't control, you know. So I remember I sat in my mum's front room and I was crying. I was like, Mum, I can't. Like, I actually can't. If I keep going like this, I'm gonna crack. Like, I need you. And I called my family. I'm like, I need you guys right now, because this is too much. I remember I spoke to my friend. I was like, please, like, you need to take her for a day or just a couple hours. Like, I need a minute, because I'm feeling it. Like, because I feel like you're in survival mode for the first how many months, and you don't even realize what you're doing every single day. And then the minute you stop and you're like, okay, like, I'm actually, this is too much. I think that was kind of the point. But I don't want mums to have to get to that point. I think they need to have the support from the beginning. Like, people, they didn't choose to have a kid, you chose to have a kid. But in that same sense, like, if you see that someone is struggling, or you see like they're exhausted and they just need a minute, like, I naturally would just take that load off of them. And I think my family and my friends, they really stepped up and they did that. Like, they saw me struggling and they all band together. Like, I'm pretty sure my family had that meeting without me, and they were like, we need to help this girl. Like, even my brother-in-law and like all my friends and stuff, like, they really, I couldn't have done it without them. That's honest truth. Like, even Denver, my best friend, her godmother, she came over like every other day this week, because we've been sick. So it's just been hard. Like, with a toddler and you're sick, as you can see. Hi, baby. Thank you. You're so kind. Thank you. But yeah, so I think even this week, like, she came around every other day and she cleaned my house, or like she would cook me food, and I'm just like,
that's amazing.
How did I get this lucky? Like, because I would do that for anyone in my circle. Like, I would do that without thinking twice. But when it happens to you, you're kind of like, oh my god, like, that's crazy. But yeah,
I think it's amazing. I think you also mentioned the point about the expectations mothers have about getting everything right and being perfect. Teach me a little bit more about that. Why do you think we have that, and also how do you think young mothers can overcome that in their own mind, but also like as a society, how we can overcome that?
I don't know. I think there's just always this. There's like a Aria. Aria, we're not gonna touch the camera. Back the edge, okay? Let's fight it.
Yeah, okay. He's like, I'll let you touch her hand. You can just push it over. Like,
we love the self-control, babe. Good job. But though, I think for starters, there's a double standard. I think when it comes to parenting, like, at least in my experience, there's this notion that, like, I will do everything that I'm supposed to do, and that is expected of me. Like, you feed the kid, you emotionally nurture them, you give them everything, you sacrifice your body, you sacrifice your time, your energy, you sacrifice everything for them, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, because I know that is going to my kid, you know. But there's, on the flip side, there's like, if you were a dad and you were to take your kids to the park, you do the simple things, you do the basics, like just the bare minimum, and they're heavily praised. So when you're a mom, it feels like a job that you're working with no praise. Not that you need it. You don't need the validation, because you have your kid that loves you and is validating enough. But it sucks sometimes. Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, and you don't get any recognition for it. That's just, you're supposed to do that. Like, it's hard.
And not just that, it's like you're expected to be perfect.
Everything. You're meant to have everything down. You're meant to feed them at this age. You're meant to have them walking by this age, talking by this age. And if they're not hitting those milestones, it's a reflection on you as a mom and what you're not doing and the environment that you're providing them. Like, everything you do is questioned. And I feel like people have this thing when you have a kid that they feel like they can just share their opinions. Like, they don't actually care. They don't see you as a human anymore. Like, you are just there to serve your child. Like, that is who you are. That is your whole purpose. And people feel like they can just weigh in their opinions, because they're like, well, it's about a kid. So I'm like, absolutely not.
Especially when it's like, I think especially when it's like they don't understand that, like, you're also doing this for the first time. Like, you're actually figuring stuff out as you go along.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and it's like there's no way anyone's gonna be perfect doing that. You know.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful that you have that perspective too. Talk to me a little also about, you mentioned in one of your videos about putting yourself first.
Yeah.
And how important it is to put yourself first throughout this whole process, because you have to feed yourself literally, and but to also feed the kids spiritually, and and all that. So what has that been like, learning to, as a people pleaser, as my
we're like we hear it.
Putting yourself first in that process. What's that been like for you?
It's been so tricky because I've never done that. Like even in my family dynamic, I've always been like everyone's shoulder to lean on. Like my role was always to be like keep the peace, and make sure everyone's happy and make sure everything's not, crazy. So when I had my daughter and I had to like snap out of that, because for the first like 3 to 6 months, I just was thinking about like what everyone else wanted from me, what the other side of the family wanted, everything. And I was like doing it because that's second nature to me, like making sure everyone's happy, making sure everyone's peaceful and everyone's getting what they want. It comes so naturally to me because I've always done that my whole life. I'm not a confrontational person, or I wasn't a confrontational person. And the minute I realized that like in my most vulnerable times, these people were like still coming for me, I actually had to snap out of that. And it was through therapy that actually taught me that. She was like, you don't need to make sure, Aria, you don't need to make sure that like, everyone's getting what they want, because what do you want? Like,
exactly.
And I was here crumbling, pouring into everyone's glass, and I was empty. Like, it was impossible. So changing that mindset took a lot of therapy. It took a lot of self-reflection, and I think I'm very proud that now I can speak my mind a lot more because I'm advocating for someone that doesn't have her own voice yet. I mean, she's getting it. You can hear. But I'm advocating for someone that doesn't have a voice, so I have to be that. I don't actually have another choice. Like I have to make sure that she's getting what she needs, and her safety's first, and her happiness is first, and I will do anything to protect that. So.
For people who don't understand how to put themselves first, what are some of the things that you have to learn?
Take time, take space. I think as a mum you feel so much guilt that like you're not doing enough, even though you're doing everything. Aria, even though you're doing everything. Thank you. You feel like you're not doing enough, even though you're doing. We're back again.
Back again.
All over the place today. You feel like you're not doing enough, even though you're doing everything you can in your power. And I think just taking the time away from your kid just for a minute, even if it's like an hour, couple hours, like even a night. Like sometimes you just need a night just to sleep and just wake up without like anything else. That's gold to me at the moment. It's very rare. I've only had like 3 nights off, so you can imagine. You can imagine how crazy that is here.
Because I was gonna say, like, I can imagine too, like for me, right, I've always been a very independent person, right? So I can imagine going from like being, this person where you have to worry about yourself and you have that so much time alone and so much time by yourself, to now you're obviously with her most of the time, all the time. So it's like you can almost forget what it's like to be you, and it's like you're obviously now a mother, but it's also you're also you. So it's like that balance must be tough, right?
Yeah, I think that balance is almost near impossible because, at least for me in my case, I'm with her 24/7. There isn't a minute that we're not together, so it is very easy for me to get lost in motherhood and just go down that, like, stay in that, And it takes some time for, like, I have to reach out to, like, my sister, or my sister will be like, can I take her for the day? And that day alone gives me a moment to ever go to the gym, self-care, sleep, do something that you want to do, go for a walk, like just take a minute to not be needed for a second. And I think that is so important. Like, I think if I had more of that in the first year, it wouldn't have felt so hard. Like, I think I would have eased into it a bit more. But it was just me from the jump, so I was like, let's go guys, put on my boots, let's go. Let's do it.
You mentioned, I got it for you. Bye baby.
You didn't want to come up, what are you doing?
You've talked a bit about how important you think therapy is for mothers at the beginning. Talk to me about that too. What was it like for you? What were some of the I guess, like I said before, some of the steps that, some realizations that you had to make about yourself or the process that you think young mothers actually need, especially at that beginning stage,
Yeah. I am always going to be a number one advocate for mums, new mums, or even if you're having your second or third kid. I just feel like it should be mandatory as soon as you have a kid that like they give you that help. And I know it's accessible, but it's not that easy to access. And also you're very scared when you first have your kid that if you show any signs of like not being okay, that you feel like they're going to take your kid. Like that's just, I know that is a universal thing because I felt that into my core. I was like, if I tell them that I'm having a hard time, they're going to be like, she's unstable. And like I wasn't. She still had everything. She had the happiest version of me, which is crazy because I did not feel happy at the time, but I was still laughing with her. But I think the steps that I went through with my therapist was like, one, addressing what I think is going on, finding the root of why these things are making me feel a certain type of way, and then what are the triggers to that. So a lot of it was to do with like my childhood and the way I was raised and my fear of like my daughter growing up without her dad, and then like having that come to fruition. I'm like, this is absolutely insane. That was the one thing I always said that I never wanted to happen, and it happened, and I blamed myself a lot for that. Like not many people know this, I guess you guys know now, but I blamed myself a lot for that. So I was like, why couldn't I give that to her? But I know it wasn't a result of my actions, you know, like I did everything I was supposed to do. There's only so much I can control that's in my power, and accepting that was the first step. And then unlearning all of those ties to everything that was like triggering you. Like there was so many triggers. You didn't even realize that there's things that are triggering you to your responses and to why you're so snappy when your kids do certain things. Like there were so many things that I didn't realize, and I wasn't present mentally during that. Like I was always there, I always showed up. I mean, I never took a day off, but I wasn't enjoying it. I don't remember her for the first 6-7 months. I don't remember it, and it's so sad. Like I feel like I lost that, and going to therapy really helped me not blame myself for that because it wasn't in my control at the time. You know, like there's only so much I could do.
Exactly. Like I think a lot of the time we don't realize that we're in survival mode.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned before.
Autopilot, 100%.
You know, just to get through the kind of what we're going through. And so once we do, I think that's also beautiful about something like therapy. You go back and kind of put the pieces back together. Yeah. And then you kind of like, that's kind of, I can see how bright and just like how you are. Now this relationship is beautiful. You know,
cool.
I think so,
I like her.
You know, but I think you've kind of built that yourself through, you know, in making yourself do the stuff, the realizations and the process that you need to go through. You kind of made sure you did that. So I think that's amazing. That's incredible.
I just wanted to be the best mom that I could be, and I feel like therapy definitely helped me accept that like the being the best mom literally just means continuing to grow and just work on the things I need to work on to make sure that she has the best version of me. And that's literally why I started therapy, because I was like, I want to be the best mom I can be, and right now I'm not present mentally, and that's not fair on her. And she was young, so I managed to get it right before she started noticing like my mood changes. Like now, if I show any sign of sadness, this girl's like, what's going on? What's going on here? I'm like, she's like, shit, because it never happens anymore. So I'm glad I got it before she became aware. I'm really grateful that I was able to do that.
So. Speak more on that. You said, what kind of mum do you want to be? Like, I know that's such a big
I love this question.
But talk to me more about that too. What kind of mum do you want to be for her?
I genuinely just want to be like cool, like just fun, light. I don't want things to feel heavy. I don't want her to feel like her mum's always going through something or her mum's down. Like obviously I'm gonna have my days, I'm a human being, but I want her to be like, my mum was always so light and always so funny, and like she never took anything to, oh my goodness. Aria?
She's finally did it.
Yeah, literally.
She's like, yes, yes.
Victory.
Five, yes.
Why are you airing the high five? Allow it.
On camera too, like, alright, don't do that to me. Yay! We did it.
Aria.
We did it.
Oh.
Yay!
I'm not gonna stop.
This is it. I don't mind it. So continue.
Yeah. What was the question though?
Hi, what kind of mom do you want to be?
Yeah, I want to be a really self-aware mom. I want to be really self-aware. I think, at least for like our parents, like they did all the groundwork for us to be able to sit here and be able to self-reflect and all that stuff. And I think if she voices things to me and she's like, Mum, I'm upset that you said this, or like I'm upset about this, like I want us to be able to talk things through. I don't want to be so reactive, because I feel like the older generations were very reactive, and their first instinct was to be like, shut it down.
Yes,
and I just,
absolutely.
you know, you couldn't really voice those things. So I feel like I want her to feel like this is a safe space, and I just want to be the best mom.
That's beautiful.
I don't even know what that looks like. We're about to find out.
I think I was going to say, like, every day you find out, right?
No, literally, I feel like as a mom, I change all the time. The mum that I was last week is not the mum that I was this week. The mum that I am when I'm sick ain't the mum that I am normally. Like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But she doesn't notice the difference because I just try to be consistent. Like, her routine's the same. I don't change anything. So I just want her to feel. She will break that.
She will definitely.
She will.
You're too strong. You're too strong. I'm sorry. I'll get beat up if you break this. So I can't let you break it. I'll bring you next time. One day you can just snap. Okay. She's like, all right.
That bullshit. Yeah.
But that's beautiful. So thinking about how we kind of grew up, right? And like you were talking before about how the relationship was, especially like I speak for myself with my parents, right? They were very reactive, very, I guess, always on edge and angry because of the stuff that I guess they had to, you know. What's some of the what are three things that you learned obviously through your upbringing? Like, you know, just something that you can think of that you think you want her to learn, you know, like if she was watching this, you know, in like 20 years time, she's looking back and what are some of the things that you want her to keep in mind, or, you know, kind of speak to her about what kind of person you want her to be, and what kind of attributes and traits that you wish she has?
Well, that's a loaded question.
It is.
I think to the first part of the question, like, was it taught me like about the way I grew up? I think I've always respected my mum for the way that she raised us and the fact that she did it alone, and she always taught us that we didn't need anyone, as long as like we knew we were good, like anything else can kind of work out. And I think our relationship changed so much after I had Aria and after I became a single mum, because I understood it on another level. Like, you can get it being the kid of a single parent, but when you then become a single parent, it's like you have this whole newfound respect, like even more intensely, because I'm like, I don't know how you did this, because I'm doing it and I don't know how I'm doing it, and when people ask me how I'm doing it, I literally cannot answer them because I'm just doing it, and I feel like you just kind of tune it out. So I think it's made me very close to my family. We're very, very tight now, which is honestly the best. And I think it's really changed all of that. And I think the second part of the question about who do I want her to be and like what do I want her to learn, I want her to never seek validation from anyone else other than herself. I feel like being very self-assured and having that keeps you protected from any outside factors, you know, like as long as you know who you are, like you can't really get persuaded into much. So I want her to know that, and I want her to like just feel so much love. I want her to just know nothing but happiness. Like, I'm sure in life she's gonna have her own trials and tribulations, but I hope that she's got the strength and she's got the resources to, like, you know, and just be strong with that, because that's all you can ask for, man. I just hope she's a good person.
That's so beautiful.
That's it. That's what I want.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Obviously, I want her to be funny, because I can't fake laugh at jokes like that too. Like, I can't. Like, I'm not fake laughing for the rest of my life. So you can be funny. That'd be great.
Try again.
Try again. Watch some shows. Yeah, some jokes.
That's amazing. Okay, let's wrap this up. So last question I always like to ask everyone on this. It's kind of a deep question, but it's kind of like this, looking at life. What do you think the meaning of life is? You've undergone so much change and growth, and I can see such an evolution and this peace in your surroundings and in yourself. I think. What has that given you, perspective-wise, on what you think the meaning of life is and what's important to people or to yourself?
Yeah, that is a heavy question. I feel like the meaning of life is just like, it's so short-lived. Like, we really don't have forever, and I feel like when you have a kid, it really puts it into perspective, because every day that I go outside, I'm like, you gotta get home to your kids, like, I gotta make sure I'm okay and everything's good. It's just given me a whole different perspective. I mean, like, nothing else matters. Nothing is ever that serious. Like, there's just nothing that can compare to, like, this, and making sure that this is always good and everything like that. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see where life takes me. I have no idea where it's going to go, because I did not see this coming a couple of years ago. But no, I don't know.
I was also want to say, can you speak a little bit more, because we were talking about this before, and I forgot to ask what it's like, because I know a lot of our generation. Sure, right? I know a lot of our a lot of our generation are scared to build their own families. You know, they were taught a lot of times it's just, you know, like wait until you're like
everything's perfect. You have the marriage and house. And,
You know, and I think we're losing something there because we're not seeing what you clearly have here, which is a genuine love for another person outside of yourself, or invested in ourselves and what makes us fulfill, which is okay, it's good. But at some point, that love for another being that you love more than yourself, that's such a beautiful thing. So speak to me a little bit more about that. What are some of the things people don't realize about family?
I feel like people always assume that there's going to be a perfect time, and I'm not saying that my setup is perfect. Like I'm sure if I had, there was two of us and we were doing it that way, I'm sure there would have been things that I didn't have to go through, So I will never promote this lifestyle, but what I will say is like, there's never a right time, and if you do find yourself in a situation where you are now having a baby and you feel like your life's about to change drastically, it's going to change. But there's just nothing that compares to it. It realigns everything, like your mindset, your perspective, like everything changes the minute you have this kid, and your purpose grows so intensely. Like I felt very lost before I had her, and then I had her, and I'm like, I would do anything to make sure that she's good. Like by any means, literally by any means, I'll make sure she's good. And I think sometimes people need that drive. I feel like it will never feel right until you do it, because then everything makes sense. And I think having kids and having a family, like, it's not something to be missed out on. It's unconditional. Like, this is unconditional. I can't not love that girl. Like, she keeps me up all night. I still love her. I'm like, you're so cute. With eye bags, I'm like, you're so cute. And the way she looks at me, I feel like it just makes it all worth it. Those moments make it all worth it. So I would promote it to anyone.
That's so beautiful. I think it's so much, so needed. I think I think it's amazing to see, just being around you two, just to see the love, the genuine love both ways. I think you're 100% right. I think it's one thing that we need to be more promotive of, and I think that you're doing such a great job by promoting it. And I'm so excited to see your journey. I'm so excited to see where you go, both of you, where you go from here. On all the social media platforms that you're on, and all the things that you choose to do, all the aspirations. I'm hoping you get a podcast one day. I can't wait for that. Of course, 100%. I'm there. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think it's going to be so beautiful. I think it's so amazing. I think, I think your perspective and your clarity of thought and delivery, and also your experiences, and I think that's also important. You've actually gone through these things, and you've had the ability to go through them, process them, and then now you can look back and be like, actually, this is what I've learned, this is what I've noticed. I think anyone watching this, going through the same experiences, will be able to relate to so much of what you've said. Because I'm sitting there and even after going through it and being like, yes. So it's like, I can feel that. The vibration is real. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been incredible. I always do end the podcast with an opportunity for the guest to ask me a question, since I've been asking you questions. If you have a question that you always wanted to ask me, this is your time. It is a surprise. I do surprise you on purpose, so that they're going to ask you a question every week.
Should have prepared.
Yeah, should have prepared.
What question do I have for Jeff?
It's just anything. It could be anything. If you don't want one, that's also fine.
I've got one.
Go on.
Oh, she's fighting me. What do you want your platform to stand for? Like, what do you want that message to be?
Thank you. That's a beautiful question. It's a beautiful question. I think there's a lot of things, right? I think firstly, I want people to see how other people are. Because I think when I show stuff like this, and I sit down with people and have conversations like this, I think people realize a little bit about humanity. And it's beautiful, because I think especially our age group, we're all so alike. We're all so similar, but we're divided. A lot of time we're divided by social media, we're divided by people, we're just like a lot of stuff outside from us are dividing us individually. So I want people to be able to see the multiplicity of the human experience, I will interview anyone. I'll have to sit down with people that have an perspective, because I want people to see that.
Even if it's opposite to you.
Even if it's opposite to mine, because I try to relate, and I try to find ways to show how this person's also gone through stuff, or this person's also just like you, and I think that variety, I think, exists in people. But I think also I want to grow from it. This has also been something for me to grow. I think I discover myself through other people. I think a lot of people do.
I really feel that.
Sure. Like you can see a lot of things from other people, and you go, oh my God, I do that too. But even if I don't do that, that's so fascinating how they reacted to that same thing that I went through. Even just it's just the difference between that. So I think it's a creative outlet. Obviously, it's a thing I enjoy doing. It takes a lot of my time, but I think it's also something a little bit where I can give back to people. Just be like, you know what, look, let me show you. I think also one-on-one. Like, I want to show you how amazing you are.
Oh.
Just going through your experience. I want to show people how amazing they are. By just reflecting back to them the things that they were saying, and I'm like, yeah, did you not see how amazing that they, and it's like, but yeah, like that's kind of what. And again, it evolves.
No, but I love that. I feel like you have a very strong voice, and I feel like you have an important message, and I feel like it's really important what you're doing. So, praises to you.
Praises to you too. Right back at you. Exactly. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You say thank you.
Want to say bye?
Goodbye. Say bye.
She's like, no, don't tell me what to say. It's amazing. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. This has been incredible.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I hope to do this again sometime soon on your podcast. Coming soon. I don't want to pressure you, but I hope to do this again. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much, guys, for watching.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And take care. Until next time, peace.
Bye.
Bye.